Hi everyone, it's Mojax. I'm in the lab today looking at the brand new NS7 II from Numark. This is the latest controller for Serato DJ. It's basically a refinement, sort of reinvention of Numark's original NS7, which has been around a long time and was a very popular controller. Really big with turntablists because it's got the real vinyl control. This is a real piece of 7-inch size vinyl. You've got a real slip mat on there, and when you press play, it just spins, spin backs, scratching, all works beautifully, really well. But the problem is with all of these controllers now, they are basically computer peripherals, you know. They are not standalone hardware. So as the software gets new features added to it, then what you end up with is controllers that don't quite have enough functions to keep up. So in the case of the original NS7, you had the effects came to Serato itch, so you ended up with the NS7 effects bar across the back there. Then they've brought in things like the slicer mode and so on, which are all new, and the NS7 just doesn't have that facility. Well, this version, totally reborn, new pad section, lots of other interesting little innovations going on. So this one really is up with the latest and greatest software. I'm using this with Serato DJ 1.5, which has just come out as well, and that supports this fully. So basically, as usual for my videos, I'm going to show you around how it all works, what all the functions are that we've got here on the unit, and we'll just investigate a bit further and see how it goes. I've been really enjoying playing with this. I was supposed to get this video done earlier today, but I ended up playing with this for like 2 hours because it is really good fun. And I've been, you know, I didn't really play much with the original NS7 because it was so big, so heavy, and I just thought, well, I'm not really a turntablist, do I need the spinning platters? But this thing, you know, the DDJ SX that I've got has kind of opened my mind to the bigger controllers. You know, I'm kind of more open to that now. I'm thinking, well, you know, if I'm going to go that size, what's wrong with maybe going a little bit bigger, getting more functions even still on top of the actual controller itself, and the spinning platters to boot. So this has definitely got me thinking for sure. So let's go around and have a look around the actual unit itself. So what we've got in the middle, first of all, we've got a 4-channel mixer now. This is a 4-channel unit. You can switch between the decks with these buttons here. So you've got 1 and 3 on this side, you've got 2 and 4 on that side, and you've got the 4-deck view in the actual software itself. I actually prefer the 2-deck view, which starting a few versions ago now just actually goes, if you change to the other deck, it will just change the actual display on the screen, because I don't use 4 decks maybe all night, and that's a lot of screen real estate it takes up. I just sort of occasionally will add in an extra, like an a cappella or something, or some extra beats from a 3rd or 4th deck. So for me, with a 13-inch MacBook Pro in particular, I find that screen real estate really useful, so I just like to switch between the two as and when I want. And this thing is quite clever about the way it picks up between the 2 decks. But there you go, so we've got 4 channels there in the middle. We've got the crossfader, which is assignable. Each one is assignable on the front of the unit. You can assign to A, B, or off, so it's either on the crossfader or not. And you've got a crossfader curve control continuous on the front as well. So each channel, let's just turn that up. I'll show you what's going on here. We've got switchable between PC, mic 2, which is the mic input on the back. There's a fully featured mic input on the front as well. So you've got 2 mic inputs, and each one you could switch to. So you could have your mic permanently on mic 2 if you wanted on channel 3 there. That'll just be out of the way. Entirely up to you. And then you've got the line inputs as well. So you've got lines on all 4. The middle 2 are switchable on the back between phono and line as well, so you can run 2 turntables into this as well. Nice feeling on the faders. Just feels like the standard sort of Numark faders they've had for a while, and they feel nice and smooth, easy, light feeling, nice to push around. As we move up, we've got a Q on each channel as well, easily switchable. And you've got a Q blend on the front as well, so you can blend between the actual master and the Q, and you've got a split Q option as well. They've got all the bases covered. You've got a small jack and a large jack as well. Not much more you can ask for in terms of queuing, really. So we move on up. We've got the filter then, high pass and low pass filter on each channel. Nice curve on that, nice resonance. Works well. Low, mid and high EQs, and they are full kills basically. On there you've got a gain controller on each channel. Each channel is assignable to effect unit A or effect unit B. And we move on up, we've got the BPM meter. People often forget that Numark were really pioneers in terms of their whole beat counters and that sort of thing, way back with the Beat Keeper that they brought out. It must be at least 10 years ago now. So with this one, when you've got the 2 tracks running, you can see whether it's behind or ahead in terms of the actual BPM without looking at the screen. A lot of this is about looking at the unit and actually hands on the unit rather than having to look at the screen all the time, which is really good. You know, you don't want that Serato face, as they call it. You don't want to be staring at your laptop screen all night, so the less you have to, the better. And this takes a lot of that functionality and puts it directly on the unit itself. We keep going up. We've got all these sort of library functions, so you can skip through, you can scroll through your tracks, scroll through your crates, and you can have different settings there. So we can open the prepare window, we can load the prepare window with a track into the prepare window, close it again, load A and B, depends on what deck you've got selected. So we've got deck 1 selected now, so load A, that's basically load left and load right. So right now I'm on deck 1, that will load to deck 1. If I change over to deck 3, it will load to deck 3. Simple as that. You know, the layers work pretty well on here. You've also got shift functions on all of these, so you can shift on either side of the unit, hold that down, and that will sort them by song, artist, BPM, album, or track number. So lots of choices there. Panel view accessible from the unit as well, so you can go through the recording, the effects section, the SP6, and back to where you were. Booth output and master output, easily accessible from the top as well. So let's move on to the actual decks themselves and look at those. Okay, so we get to the actual decks themselves then. Yeah, obviously the centerpiece is this big spinning platter, 7-inch size. It basically bolts onto there, and yeah, you can fully just spin it back. Just feels completely natural. You've got high torque and low torque setting depending on how much you want the actual torque to feel like on the deck. It's pretty much a revelation for me. I'm really enjoying that. I use either a controller or I use Technics 1210s, and this is really feeling like the best of both worlds. You know, even if you're not playing hip hop and stuff, it's just nice to have that spinning platter to just like get it there, get your key point. You've got that resistance underneath, and just drop in. It just feels really good and really natural. If you've used vinyl for any length of time, then it just feels right. So let's go around the actual controls here. We've got the pitch control, feels really nice and accurate. It lights up when you're at 0. I've got, you know, I use sync a lot when I'm using 4 decks and stuff on controllers, but I've been playing earlier with this, and the pitch feels really accurate. Like trying to get 2 tracks locked together is perfectly achievable on this. You know, I was just manually beat mixing a lot, and just the slightest nudge of the actual fader doesn't change massively on the screen. You can't see anything changing on the screen, but it's changing just a tiny bit. And then you've got pitch bend buttons to pitch up or pitch down, just to nudge things into place. You can run your finger along the platter like you do with a regular turntable. And so for actual hands-on mixing, yeah, feels awesome. You've got cue points on these pads down here. We'll get to the pads in a minute, but you've also got hot cues up there, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. Bit of a hangover maybe from the original NS7. I don't know, you know, they're in a nice position, a different position. So if you're up there cutting, then you might want to just go in like that. You know, it's another option. And again, as with all this sort of hot cues and stuff on Serato stuff, you can shift and delete them, and you can add them on the fly as well, nice and simply. Up here you've got master tempo, which is your key lock, so shift will turn that on and off, and you've got the range button as well, so that's on now, and that will, without the shift, that changes from ±8%, ±16, or ±50. So plenty to play with there, and yeah, as I say, the ±8% feels really accurate, really nice. You've got slip mode as well, which is common now to all of the new Serato DJ stuff. So slip mode goes on, turn that on, and you can spin back, you can hit loops and cues and whatever you want, and it won't lose its place in the playback. You know, so that's a useful function. I still haven't really got to grips with that and found anything I really want to do with it, but a lot of people are getting there, so it's worth having, definitely. Also another shift function, you've got the motor off, that'll turn the motor off, so that's now still playing, and this just becomes basically a big jog wheel, and you can pitch bend up and down with the jog wheel perfectly happily, but obviously kind of takes away the point of having these platters in the first place. You've got the reverse there, so you can actually reverse playback properly, and you can bleep, which is the sensor function, so the platter won't change direction, just reverses the playback, keeps it in time for you ever so briefly. Nice big paddle switch for that. You've got start and stop time. You can go from instantaneous, pretty much instantaneous, to ridiculously long. For really long wind downs and stuff like that. And to wind up again as well. So there you go. Up here you've got your beat grid stuff, so you can adjust, you can tap in the BPM if the software's got it wrong. You can set your beat grids and adjust them and slip them and so on, all from the controller. Again, some of the Serato DJ controllers are missing that, and I do miss that, because if you want to get your grids right, it's great to have it on the controller there. The Vestax 380 that I have is missing that, and that's a bit of a pain for me. You've got what they call the strip search, sounds a bit rude up at the top there, but that is just to take you through the track from beginning to end. And again, another thing keeping your eyes off the laptop is you've got this LED strip there as well, tells you where you are on the track, so you can know if all those LEDs are almost lit, you're almost at the end. So even without looking at the screen, you know that's there. Then we get into the effects section. We'll run through quickly. This is all pretty standard stuff in Serato DJ. So you've got, they're all endless rotary knobs with the lights on there. So you're not going to get stuck with them being in the wrong place or anything like that. And let's go, I'll just open up the effects section so you can see what's going on. Where are we? Let's get that out. Oh, try again. Right, so I've got a single effect there. I've got an echo set. So let me just go back into that. Let's go back to the start and just turn that on. Nice and simple. Adjust all your parameters quite happily. Turn that off, and then what you can do as well, you can go through and select the different ones. So if we go, I'm in slip mode, there we go. Right, so if we just hold shift and we can just push down on there, and we can actually go through the different effects that you've got. So let's say pan delay, there you go, turn that one on. So you can select them from the controller. You can also change the mode, again, a shift function there, mode. So hit that, and now we've got the combo effects. You've got 3 effects all chained on the one channel. It's working really nicely there. And then this is where it gets really cool. This is a new function which is, as far as I know, is unique to the Numark ones at the minute. You've got these touch sensitive knobs. Tractor have got some things like this, but not for this kind of function, you know. This is really sweet. So what we've got, this is the touch button there, and with touch lock as well. So we hit touch once first of all, and what that will do is basically turn all of these knobs up here into touch sensitive knobs. So if I hit that, that will turn on that tape echo just from touching the knob. So I can cut it in and out really quickly just with a little tap of my finger. Same with the delay, let's turn that up. And there we go. So you don't have to do anything but touch them really quickly, just punch in those effects really easily, which is cool. Same thing on the other side as well. And then the other thing that you can do with that, if you, we'll turn that off now, we hit, get rid of that. Right, so we just hit shift and do that one. That's now touch lock. So what we've got now, that's flashing there. What we have now is touch sensitive EQ knobs as well. So just use those like kill switches. Don't really find kill switches much on mixes anymore, but a lot of people do like that kind of chopping the EQ in and out. So that's a really nice addition. I tend to use EQs more for sort of shaping the sound and blending and so on and that sort of thing. So, you know, not to my taste necessarily, definitely for the effects, but I can see how people are going to get a kick out of that. If you're more of a sort of choppy style of DJ, just to be able to do that instant kill, lovely, spot on, and that's just disabled there. Then we're on to the other side. We've got a similar looking button there, which is filter roll. It's marked up first of all, so we hit that up, and this is wicked, right? So basically all we do the high pass filter, and it loop rolls at the same time. Now you can kind of do that in the Serato remote app on the iPad. That's the first time we've seen that on a hardware controller. It just gets a shorter loop the more you filter. So that's a nice addition. And then it gets cooler still, because what you can do, turn that off, we hit shift and that one, and that will turn on filter effects. So this is where it gets crazy. So now what we've got, if we turn the effect on there, then we've got is now turning up the combo echo at the same time, as you can see on the screen there, as doing the filter. So I can literally just set that to whatever I want. So let's go shift and I'll just set a different one on there. Let's say we'll do time stretch, then we'll try that one out. So we'll just turn that one up, turn it on, and that's filtering and doing the time stretch effect. So you can imagine there's some pretty crazy combinations you could put together with that, and that's something I really want to play with a bit more. Just having that one knob control over a filter and effect all in one go is pretty cool. Definitely feeling that. So that's really your sort of main deck sections, your mixer section. We'll just get into the pad sections then. I'll show you around those as well. So we've got quite a lot of choice there. Let's go back to the start. So these are duplicated here. We've got the cue points. So we've got 8 cue points as per standard in Serato DJ now. And then what you've also got, you hit that cue button again, turns orange, and what we have now is what they call, it's like a hot loop mode. So basically what we can do is if we hit the cue point, and that will set a loop depending on what the loop length is set to in the software. So if we just expand that out, let's say to 4 beats in the software, that is now a 4-beat loop from the first cue point. And from there we go, from the third, just sets a 4-beat loop every time.
In Detroit, we begin in Detroit.
So some serious potential for live remixing.
We begin in Detroit.
If you were to cut that down shorter, you can imagine playing with an a cappella. You can have some real fun with that, do some crazy stuff. You just hit each one to take it out of the loop. So we move on to the auto/roll, and when it's blue, that's your simple auto beat loop, lock to the BPM, works great. And then we go hit it again, turns green, and that's loop rolls on there. Then we're into the loop function itself, and we've got manual loops here. Now what we've got, if we we're in loop mode there, so if we just go up to the top, I'm just going to delete those out quickly. So at the moment we've got no saved loops on here at all. These 4 on the top correspond with the top 4 loop slots for the manual loop. So we can set a manual loop like so, in, out. So we've now set a manual loop, slightly off beat, but it doesn't matter. And I can now save that to loop slot 1, loop slot 2, 3, or 4. So whatever I want to set to, and then come out of there, and then I can re-loop with that one. Whichever one I did last, that will then re-loop to that. So you can jump to that saved loop, or you can just activate the save loop. There we go. And if you go to the second page, that's the second group of 4 loops, so that's 5 to 8, so we can now save that and re-loop again. So there we go, and exit with that one. So there we are. Right, SP6, hit it first, you've got your sorry about the air horn, I know it's tired, right? Hit it again, you've got a velocity sensitive mode, so the harder you hit it, the louder it goes. Ideal for sort of drumming and that sort of stuff. Then we're into slicer mode. When it's red with the green going through it, or with the orange going through it, then basically you're in the standard slicer mode. Adjustable length of the parameters there. And if you hit it again, you're in the loop slicer mode, so it stays locked within that beat region that you've set with the parameter buttons there. So yeah, super set of pads basically on there. They're nice feeling pads, you know, really just nice to the touch, and that different color lighting on each one, you know, lets you know once you've got used to it. It will take a while to get used to it, but once you're used to it, you know, you'll be able to tell at a glance what's going on with these pads just straight away. So there we have it. The Numark NS7 II. Has this regained the crown for Numark when it comes to being top dog on the Serato controller front? I think it probably has. This thing is huge. It's the size and weight of a small car. I think my first car, a Fiat Panda, probably weighed less than this. But if you want an all-in-one DJ console that's just going to do everything that you could want it to do, this is going to be it. You know, you've got the full-on pad section. You've got all these little extra controls on the unit itself rather than being sort of locked away in the software. You've got the start and stop time there, ready to go. You've got the vinyl feel on the platter, real vinyl, real cutting, real scratching. You know, you can really get down on this thing and work it if that's your vibe. If you're into more sort of, I'm not going to say advanced, but you know what I mean, more like 4-channel mixing, if you're into like techno and house and that sort of thing, you've got these filter rolls, the filter effects, it's all there. You've got the 4-deck control, full control of 4 decks right here. You've got professional ins and outs, you've got the XLR outputs, you've got a booth output, you've got fully featured 2 microphone inputs on there as well. The sound quality is great, the build quality is great. This really is something special to look at, and you know, it's not going to be for everyone. You know, if you are turning up at gigs on a regular basis, you need something compact that's going to fit in a booth. You can just put it on top of a, you know, on top of sort of next to a turntable or something like that, and squeeze it in a booth. Then this is not going to do that for you. If you're a mobile DJ, if you want something really advanced for working within the house for doing mixtapes and stuff, brilliant. If you work places that have got terrible gear and you have to take your own equipment anyway, well, why not take something that does the lot? And this really does the lot. Works perfectly for me with Serato DJ 1.5. It's perfectly integrated with the latest software. All in all, really impressed with this one. I think whatever your style of music, it's worth investigating to see if it is the right thing for you. As I say, not the right thing for everyone, but if it is, if it can fit into your workflow, I think you'll be really happy with this. So there you go. That's my look today at the Numark NS7 II. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you'll subscribe and watch more videos on my channel, which is Mojax VDJ on YouTube. Thank you very much for watching. Bye bye.